This is the Padua Podcast Network.
So you might call someone a centenarian if they live to be 102, like I.M.Pei, but you wouldn't call him a super centenarian. Running a Fever, episode 168, Living to 100, Nabi Tajima. Hi, welcome to the show. Michael Davis here. Loving life, living long. The goal here is not just to add years to my life, but to add life to my years and live a long, healthy, happy, active life up to the very end. And the end, the people we've been talking about, came at a very advanced age, relatively speaking. So it's a lovely day today. And we continue our increased activity. I think I did miss a couple of days last week of just not having any activity, but I did get, because I worked out yesterday, Saturday, I did get my weightlifting in because I'm on a 4-day schedule, but I didn't play racquetball. Plan is to play racquetball tomorrow morning. Well, I didn't get injured the last time I played racquetball. I was feeling some soreness in my knees I talked about. And so I decided to give it a few more days before I went back to that. But I've been walking a lot more. Walked 10 miles last week, 2 trips here, at least. Howdy. Very crowded today. And I've been walking a lot more at work. So one day I think I had around 20,000 steps, having ramped up at work, taken a full lap around Lake Fayetteville, and then probably did something else, went shopping or something where I had to walk a lot. Yeah, this is a prime time, definitely not the time to walk if I want the kind of solitude that I sometimes enjoy. Could have come out real early this morning. I was up at 4:30. But it's also the time when my mind is sharpest, early in the morning, so I like to do things like write. Howdy. So that was what I was doing this morning. So we're at the 9th in our series on super centenarians. Today we're talking about Nabi Tajima. Nabi Tajima. Oh, a news note. I.M.Pei, the famous architect. I've seen some works of his, definitely a very striking architecture. Quite an artist. Died at the age of 102. So I don't know what his secret was. Haven't researched it much, just kind of came up on the news feed. So I.M.Pei lived to be 102. So Nabi lived from August 4th, 1900 to April 21st, 2018, a total of 117 years, 260 days. She is number 3 on the list of all-time longest-lived people and held the title of the oldest living person for 217 days. Like I say, these longevity lists move quite rapidly despite the length of the lives of people, because people die, and of course the list of oldest living people is also changing a lot because lifespans are getting longer, and so that list keeps changing. She's also the oldest verified Asian, so she's and so I mean she's like the king of Japanese. Japanese dominate the list, so. King of the Dominators, Queen of the Dominators, Nabi Tajima. Born on the island of Kikajima, and I think she lived her whole life there. That is located between Okinawa and the main group of Japanese islands. She is one of 3 Japanese supercentenarians on our list. I mean, the list starts, I think, at 116 or something. I mean, you have to go back to several episodes ago, but now in Veterans Park, so that's going to be really noisy here for a while. Lots of traffic today, people parking out on the volleyball courts, coolers, cookouts. There's some people in the pavilion here. Doesn't look like a large group, just maybe a family having a cookout, eat out thing. This is around lunchtime. Oh, that barbecue smells good. I haven't had barbecue in a while. I actually saw somebody from work not long ago. Kind of helped me when I was... Some kid has decided to slam a cooler lid as much as he can. Very delighted with that.
Whoa. Hey, take a piece of that.
Kids are great. How many of these kids are going to live to be 100, I wonder? Starting out the right way, staying active. Of course, barbecue, you know, I don't, just because it's cooked on a grill, I don't call it barbecue. Really, you need a certain kind of seasoning to call it barbecue. I think I know quite a bit about barbecue, just because of my southern culture. But that's a topic for the diet department, maybe some other day. Okay, Nabi Tajima, 3rd oldest living person ever. Born and lived her whole life and died on the island of Kikajima. She is one of 3 Japanese on our list, and I found out that the word supercentenarian is reserved for people who live to be at least 110. So you might call someone a centenarian if they live to be 102, like I.M.Pei, but you wouldn't call him a supercentenarian. I always wondered because, you know, you got septuagenarian, octogenarian, I guess nonagenarian or something like that, something starting with an N for 9. And then centenarian. Well, what are the other prefixes that you use? I don't know. But supercentenarian is what we call people over the age of 110. She is the last person known to survive who lived in the 19th century. Now, this caused me to learn something. The 19th century, according to the Julian calendar, spillway's about as active as I've seen it recently. We should probably raise the level of the lake a little bit yesterday. I don't know how much rain we had, but it's definitely a thunderstorm. There were tornado warnings. According to the Julian calendar, the 1st century began at year 100. Now it's interesting, you know, sometimes we count starting at 0, especially in the IT business where I have spent my career. A lot of times you count starting with 0. Sometimes you count starting with 1. Now I think we generally think, because it's most of the 19th century starts with 18 as a prefix, or the first 2 digits. And naturally, when we see 1900, we think, well, that's the beginning of 20th century. Not according to the Julian calendar, but according to popular belief, On the dam now. Not taking a lot of pictures today. I'm hoping to have pictures of the super centenarians I'm talking about. As always, pretty windy on the dam. A lot of people too, but I think you can probably hear me. I don't know. Anyway, there'll be a link in the show notes about the word century and what it means, and the various reckonings thereof. Nabi was married and had 9 children, 28 grandchildren, 56 great-grandchildren, and 35 great-great-grandchildren as of 2001, and reportedly had 160 descendants at the time of her death, including great-great-great-grandchildren. Her husband, also Japanese, lived to be 95 years old, but he died in the 90s sometime. Not just in age, but also in decade. Pretty full parking lot here at the marina. Kids in the playground, dogs everywhere. It's just that kind of day. Everybody comes out.
Hey, hold on. What's the dog's name? Brownie or Hershey? Reese's.
Reese's! Dang it. Reese's, chill out.
Eminem.
His full name is Reese's Brownie Garcia.
They got a funny name for their dog, who is brown. Kind of a, I don't know, chocolate brown, maybe not quite dark enough to be chocolate brown, I don't know.
Let's keep going.
Masses of humans everywhere. All right, so left plenty of descendants, and it looks like there were 5 generations or so living at once. She and her husband were farmers. I still believe that farmers, especially in the early 20th century, did a lot of manual labor. So, you know, with each of these, if we have the information, we want to examine the quality of life that these people had, especially toward the end of their lives. You know, if we want to live a long time, we want to be active and engaged during those later years, not just sort of extended our life. But usually that kind of takes care of itself, because activity is one of the things that determines your longevity. It's one of those many things that you can actually control. That's why we're doing this. Dan Buettner says that 90% of what goes into living a long life can be controlled. Only 10% is genetics. And if you survive childhood, that genetic factor really just drops down quite a bit. Changes as you get older. Well, I'm going so long trying to get this recorded that I forgot the name. Nabi died in a nursing home, was hospitalized for the last month of her life. I don't think there was a reason given. Her grandson said she passed away as if falling asleep. She'd been a hard worker, and I wanted to tell her, rest well. She liked hand dancing. Hand dancing. That brings back a memory of when I was in Kenya. Hard to believe I was in Kenya at one time. Yes, I was in Kenya, and one of the guys I was hanging out with there had a busted leg. Yeah, he's walking with a cane, so he did not get up and dance, but he wanted to interact with the locals. So he did so by hand dancing. She was probably, maybe had a hard time dancing, feet dancing, I guess you'd call it. So this was reported when she was named the oldest living person, when she turned 117, I think, or sometime during her 117th or 118th year. So, since she was in that position, of course, they asked her her secret for longevity. And she said, sleeping soundly and eating delicious food. So what did we learn? Well, getting good sleep is important. We already know that. As a farmer, she probably got up pretty early in the morning, and those 9 children early on probably did not make it easy to sleep. Got some birds trying to get on the podcast. Yeah, so we all have challenges though, and to live a long life, you got to overcome those challenges and meet them head on. That's what Nabi Tajima did.
Good morning.
Hey. Not morning anymore, is it? Well, I've been working out for about 50 minutes today. Nabi Tajima, oldest Japanese person on the list, oldest Asian person to ever live. Former world record holder for longevity, in terms of living persons anyway. And finally, number 4, the all-time greatest long-lived people. So that's our salute to Nabi Tajima. I don't know, this may be excessive to bring a whole cycling team.
Oh, sorry.
And Nabi wound up number 4 on the all-time list as of this episode and this point in history, this moment in time, as it were. So we're on the disc golf course today, Lake Fayetteville, and of course it's pretty noisy on this particular day. But I hope you enjoyed our salute to Nabi Tajima, and I'll never finish this episode ever. Hey, keep on going.
Yep.
How many laps you gonna do today?
Huh?
How many laps you gonna do today?
Gonna do one.
Okay, that's my coworker. We're finally gonna bring this episode to an end right now. Let's see. This car goes past. If you got the fever, keep it. If you don't have it, catch it. Catch the fever. And I'll talk to you next time on Running a Fever. Because I mistakenly said that Nabi Tajima was number 4 on the all-time list, she is in fact number 3. So I need to correct that.